I'm a 34-year-old woman, raised in what I thought was a tight-knit middle-class family, complete with a suburban house and the American dream facade. My parents, both in their early 60s, and my older brother Nathan, 36, make up our little clan. And then there's me, Emily. We're not the warm, fuzzy type who spill their feelings over coffee. Our family operates more like a sitcom where love is buried under snarky remarks about each other's life choices during awkward holiday dinners. Still, I always figured we'd have each other's backs when it mattered. For context, I've always been the dependable one. Good grades, state college, and a solid job in medical research. It's not flashy, but it pays the bills, and I've got my life together. Nathan, though, was the golden child. He went to a fancy university, funded partly by mom and dad, while I juggled student loans that'll probably haunt me into my nursing home years. He's got an MBA and works at a tech startup, pulling in decent money but somehow always too busy to help when our parents need a hand. Family roles were clear growing up. Nathan was the star. His soccer games and debate club events were family pilgrimages. I once won a regional science fair, but mom was at a spa day, and dad had a fishing trip. When I came home with my plaque, mom just said, "That's great, sweetie. Did you pick up milk?" I wasn't bitter. Okay, maybe a little, like day-old coffee grounds, but I dealt with it. I figured that's just how families work. One kid gets the spotlight, and the other gets to be, whatever I was. The backup. The milk fetcher. The unsung hero of grocery runs. I left home at 18 for college, worked 2 jobs while studying, and graduated with honors. My graduation party was at a diner, pancakes all around, with Dad mostly talking about Nathan's new loft in Seattle. Nathan wasn't there, he was networking in Cancun. Apparently, margaritas are a career booster. Post-college, I landed a job at a medical research firm, climbing from entry-level to lead researcher. It's not Hollywood, but it's steady benefits, a 401k, the whole adult starter kit. I bought a small apartment, adopted a cat named Dr. Whiskers, I was tipsy at the shelter, don't judge, and built a quiet, satisfying life. Nathan, meanwhile, bounced between trendy jobs at companies like TechTrend and InnovateX, which seemed to specialize in logoed merch and buzzwords about revolutionizing industries. He lived in sleek city lofts, dated influencers, and was always this close to striking it rich. Spoiler, the big break never came. But mom and dad were convinced his fortune was just around the corner. 3 years ago, dad had a health scare, nothing fatal, but it put him in the hospital for a bit. Mom was a wreck. I took leave from work to handle everything: insurance forms, hospital visits, bringing mom homemade soup, and walking their dog. Nathan sent a fruit basket and called once, probably from a bathroom break. Nothing says, "I'm there for you," like a $60 edible arrangement and a 2-minute chat. While Dad was recovering, I was in his hospital room, catching up on emails while he napped. Mom was home napping too. Around 1 a.m., Dad stirred and mumbled, "Emily, where's Nathan?" I said, "He's in Denver, Dad, for work. He called earlier." Dad nodded, groggy. "He's doing so well, isn't he? Such a great son." I just smiled and handed him water. He was on meds, so I let it slide. After he got better, Mom and Dad started talking about getting their affairs in order. It made sense post-scare, so I didn't dwell on it. Then I noticed little things. Dad asked me to set up auto payments for their bills because tech is tricky. This from a guy who designed circuit boards for decades. Mom called about their property taxes, saying they were a bit short. The request snowballed: phone bill, electric, new siding, HVAC repairs. Always just this once, or temporary. Soon, I was bankrolling their lifestyle while working full-time. And saving for my own future, so I can maybe retire before I'm 90 and afford both rent and a latte. At first, I didn't mind. They're my parents. But something felt off. Their explanations were vague: investments, the market. I didn't press. They'd helped me out once, like when my car died in college, and they sent $700, no questions asked. I figured it was my turn. Except it wasn't a turn, it was a marathon. The asks grew: $250 for gas bill, $400 for car maintenance, then thousands for property taxes, home insurance, a new furnace, and a bathroom renovation that went from new tiles to marble everything. Meanwhile, Nathan swooped in for holidays with pricey gifts and tales of his startup glory, and Mom and Dad ate it up.
Nathan Esquilinit.
Nathan's closing a big deal.
Nathan Essayin à Beach House.
Easy to dream big when you're not funneling $1,000 a month into someone else's life. I tried tracking what I was giving them, but it was overwhelming. Between auto payments and emergency requests, I was shelling out $1,200 to $1,800 monthly. That's a car payment. That's a trip to Europe.
Détesse à deposition à house without termite.
But guilt kept me going. They raised me, fed me, patched me up when I was sick. How could I not help? So I cut back, dropped my yoga classes, switched to budget haircuts, and started packing sad little lunches of quinoa and beans. I told myself it was temporary, until they were back on their feet. Then, 6 months ago, Mom texted about a family financial planning Zoom call. I hoped they'd acknowledge my help, maybe even thank me. I showed up early, in a nice sweater, looking like I didn't just eat ramen over the sink. Mom and Dad joined, then Nathan, looking like he stepped out of a menswear ad. Perfectly tousled hair, crisp shirt, the kind of effortless polish that costs a fortune. "Hey all," he said, flashing a grin.
Let me share my screen.
Nathan ran the show, flipping through PowerPoint slides about estate planning and investments. Mom and Dad nodded like dashboard figurines, clearly lost but pretending to get it. I've seen that look when I talk about my research. They're mentally planning their grocery list. My name didn't come up once. Not a mention of the thousands I'd been pouring into their lives. I sat there, muted, watching my face shrink in the Zoom window, feeling like a prop. At the end, Mom chirped, "Oh Emily, the property tax is due soon.
Can you en delete, sweetie?
You're so dependable." That was my role, the dependable one.
The bill payé. The family vending machine.
I unmuted to say, "Sure Mom," then logged off, fighting back tears. Something was wrong. Why was Nathan suddenly their financial guru? Why was I still footing their bills? It felt like I was funding a club I wasn't invited to. I started paying closer attention. Nathan's mail, including mortgage statements, was piling up at their house. Dad mentioned Nathan taking him to meet their financial planner. Mom asked me to install an app so Nathan could monitor their accounts. Because apparently, one person accessing your money isn't enough. One Sunday, I stopped by unannounced with brownies, still a good daughter, despite my suspicions. They weren't home, but Nathan's car was there. I let myself in and heard him in Dad's office on the phone. "Once the house is in the trust, we can finalize," he stopped when he saw me. "Gotta go," he muttered, hanging up. "Hey Em," he said, all casual. "Just dropping off brownies," I said.
What are you up to?
He waved at the desk, cluttered with papers. Helping Dad with some financial stuff. Boring. I offered to help, saying I'm good with organizing. He shut me down fast. "Nah, we've got a system." A system that clearly didn't include me. It felt like I'd stumbled into a conspiracy movie where everyone knows the plot except me. Then, 2 months ago, I found it. I was helping Mom dig through her office for a receipt when I spotted a folder labeled, "Will, Final 2024. I know I shouldn't have peeked, but come on, you would too. If you say you wouldn't, you're either a saint or a liar. While Mom was on the phone, I opened it. My hands shook like I was sneaking a look at forbidden treasure. Inside was their updated will, notarized 3 months earlier. Everything, house, savings, Dad's vintage coin collection, Mom's art, went to Nathan. There was a letter explaining, Nathan has shown financial responsibility and foresight. He's best equipped to manage our estate. Not a single mention of me. No keepsake, no token, not even a nod to the years I'd been their financial lifeline. I was erased, like I'd never existed. The room tilted. I sat down, clutching the papers, my heart pounding. This wasn't a mistake. There was no second will, no footnote saying, "Oh, and thanks Emily for keeping us afloat." Just page after page of Nathan's inheritance, like I was a ghost who'd paid their bills but left no trace. I put everything back, said nothing, and drove home in a daze. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying the past 3 years, the checks, the auto payments, the vacations I skipped to fund their temporary needs. I pulled my bank statements and added it up, over $45,000. That's a down payment. That's a degree. That's a really nice car or a slightly questionable yacht. And they didn't even leave me a postcard in their will. I decided to wait, to see if they'd come clean, if they'd prove I was more than a checkbook. I stopped answering their bill requests, canceled payments, and stepped back. I gave them 3 months to notice, to ask if I was okay, to show I mattered. They didn't. Instead, their demands grew sharper, like a toddler whining for candy. Emily, the gas bill's late. Emily, property taxes are due. Emily, the internet's about to be cut off. No one asked if I was all right. They were too busy expecting me to keep the lights on. A month into my financial boycott, Mom called me for dinner, saying, "We need to talk." I went, foolishly hoping they'd address the will, apologize, or at least see me as a person. Instead, it was the usual. Nathan's latest triumphs dominated the conversation. Dad raved about Nathan's new investment venture. Mom gushed over a gourmet gift basket Nathan sent. Then, as I cleared plates, Mom said, "Oh Emily, the property tax came in. $3,500. Can you cover it by Wednesday?" No please, no acknowledgement that this was thousands of dollars, just the assumption I'd pay. "I can't this month," I said, scrubbing a dish. Mom froze. "What do you mean, can't?" "I'm tight on cash," I said, not lying. I was tight from years of funding them. "But it's important, Emily. We'll get fined." I shrugged. "I'm sure Nathan can handle it. He's doing so well." Mom looked like I'd spoken in code. "Nathan? But he's busy. He has his own life. And I don't." I asked. She blinked, confused. "That's different. You're the reliable one." I laughed, bitter. "Reliable for your bills?" She bristled. "We helped you too, remember? That's $700 for your car in college." "Mom, that was 15 years ago. I've given you tens of thousands since." Her face hardened. "I didn't know you were counting." That was it. They saw no issue with me as their cash machine. I grabbed my bag.
Iga tego kropka.
"But the taxes," she called. "Not my problem," I said, walking out. 3 weeks ago, Mom texted about lunch, saying, "We need to discuss something important." My heart leapt. Maybe they'd explain the will, apologize, or at least acknowledge me. I got to the restaurant early, nervous but hopeful. They showed up late, with Nathan. We chatted about Mom's flowers and the weather. Over salads, Mom said, "Emily, we've noticed you haven't been paying the bills lately." Dad added, "If you're struggling, you should have told us. We're family." I nearly choked. Struggling? After bankrolling them for years?
The audacity was sawardoorti.
"I'm fine," I said. "Just rethinking my budget." Mom relaxed. "Good. So you'll cover the electric bill? It's 2 months late, and they're threatening to cut us off." Nathan chimed in, all serious. "You gotta stay on top of these things, Em."
Financial discipline matters.
I stared at him. Was he for real? "You're managing their finances, right?" I asked. "You paying their bills?" He squirmed. "Not exactly. I'm focused on the big picture, investments, estate stuff." "The future," I echoed. Then Mom dropped it, casual as a weather report. "Oh, while we're here, we updated our will."
Nathan is handling everything when the time comes.
He's just better suited for it. You get that, Emily. You're so practical. There it was. They'd planned this lunch to lock me back into paying, knowing I'd been cut out. I set my fork down, placed $20 on the table, and said, "I should go." "But your salad," Mom said. I looked at her, really looked.
"I'm not hungry."
Dad called, "What about the electric bill?" I turned back. Nathan's got it. He's better suited. It felt like slamming the door on years of being used. I went home and surgically removed myself from their financial lives. I canceled every auto payment, closed joint accounts, and notified every utility I was no longer responsible. I emailed their HOA, canceled their lawn service, and cut every tie with the precision of a chef dicing onions. Each cancellation felt like reclaiming a piece of myself. Then I blocked their numbers for a week. I needed space to think, free from their demands. It was like a detox from years of enabling. That week, I felt strange, lighter but heavy with grief. I mourned the family I thought I had. I'd spent years earning love that should have been free. When I unblocked them, the messages flooded in, confused, then worried, then angry.
All about Bill, never about me.
Dad's best was, the Wi-Fi's out. How am I supposed to watch my shows? I didn't reply. What was there to say? Sorry, your cash machine grew a backbone? 3 weeks passed. I focused on me. I looked at my finances and realized I'd given them over $45,000. Enough for a deposit on a condo or 1,000,000 cups of coffee. I started therapy, joined a gym, got a real haircut, and bought soft sheets that didn't feel like burlap. After years of pinching pennies for them, these felt like luxuries. Their calls kept coming, more desperate. Mom tried guilt. I can't believe you do this after all we've done. Dad was blunt. You need to pay these bills. This is unacceptable.
Then, yesterday, Mom texted, the power is out.
Did you forget to pay? Not I miss you, or can we talk?
Just money, please.
I stared at that text, then replied, no, I remembered exactly what you said. I shut off my phone and slept deeply, like I'd finally dropped a weight I'd carried for years. This morning, I woke to 42 missed calls and a voicemail from Dad, ranting about duty and family. But here's where I might be the villain. I knew they couldn't pay the electric bill. I knew their power would be cut off. And I did nothing. In fact, I drove to their neighborhood when I knew the utility crew would show up. I parked across the street, sipped my latte, and watched the workers shut off their power. I saw the lights go out. Mom and Dad stepped outside, frantic on their phones, probably leaving me more voicemails. I should have felt guilt, sadness, something. But I felt nothing, just calm, like this was the natural result of their choices. They'd used me, taken me for granted, and now they were learning what life was like without their personal bank. Maybe I'm the bad guy for letting their power go out. Maybe I should have confronted them instead of ghosting their finances. After years of being the dependable one, the fixer, the doormat, I'm just done. Exhausted. Their power's back on now. Nathan paid the bill after 3 days. 3 whole days for the financial wizard to handle a basic payment. The calls and texts kept coming, increasingly desperate. Dad threatened to call the cops for elder neglect. Mom wailed about selling her rings. I haven't responded. I'm not sure what comes next, but for now I'm free. If this story touched you, please like, share, and subscribe for more heartfelt tales.
Your support means everything.
Thank you for joining us on this journey.